It's teaching people, not just teaching them biblical worldview, but how to apply biblical worldview. And we started that with young people back when I was a legislator in Texas, 16 to 25-year-olds. We'd bring them into the state capitol, let them live the life of a legislator, kind of really cement what they really believe. At that age where you're kind of deciding, what do I believe? Not just what does mom and dad believe, what do I believe? And then make them defend that. And so it was all about worldview, but also then application to hot topics of the day. So in that legislative simulation, they would have to defend those beliefs. And then about 10 years ago, it branched out into Constitution coaching. So now we have Constitution coaches all over the nation, about 12,000 of them, and they host our courses in their home or at their church. You don't have to know anything about history or government or the law to be a coach. You just got to get people in a room and hit play and then foster the conversation. And the great thing is, Bob, for such a time as this, people are hungry to know what's the proper role of government, how does our Constitution work, what does the Bible say about being a good citizen, and that's what we're bringing to folks.
Well, and Rick, when you talk about for such a time as this, I mean, you have people, even those that serve in legislative positions. You were in the Texas State House of Representatives. You have people in Congress that, you know, even though they swear when they are sworn into the office that they are going to defend the Constitution, but at the same time, they're working against the Constitution. You have people that are elected to office in the United States that do not recognize the authority of the U.S. Constitution and just the brilliance through which I believe God inspired men of faith to actually put this document together. They want to take the U.S. Constitution and tear it down and build up something totally different, which
Cultural
becomes
Marxism.
it's a Marxist, socialist point of view. So you've got people sworn to uphold the Constitution that are actually committed to a form of government that is consistent with cultural Marxism. How did we get here?
Well, because we stopped following the Constitution and started following the Courtstitution, is what I call it.
Courtstitution,
They've literally replaced the written document that we love and that our founding fathers gave us and that we've modified 27 times, we the people, through the amendment process. They've taken that and replaced it with all of these court opinions where they take a phrase here and a phrase there and they throw it into this witch's brew that comes out as the Courtstitution, and that is what's ruling America right now. It wasn't the design of the founding fathers, but we've let it happen. And the only way to stop that is you have to replace the Courtstitution with, once again, the original intent of the Constitution and the jurisdictional lines that would limit the federal government to only do what only the federal government can do and what only the federal government is authorized to do under the Constitution. Under the Constitution, the federal government can do pretty much anything. They've essentially authorized the federal government to be involved in everything in our daily lives. And that is not the view of the founders. It was not the view of the founders. It is not the actual Constitution itself, but it's going to take a lot of hard work on the role of we the people to replace the Constitution with the Constitution.
Rick Green joining us today from Patriot Academy. It is the Meeting House here at NRB, National Religious Broadcasters 2022 in Nashville. Well, Rick, I'm going to lay out this scenario because you have people that are appointed to the judiciary, whether it be on a federal level, even as high as the U.S. Supreme Court, federal judges, appeals courts, district courts, you got state courts, local courts. There are a lot of courts out there. Now, in generally in local municipalities and in state courts, you have elected representatives. For instance, in the state of Alabama, our judiciary is made up of elected officials.
Same
so that's
in Texas,
another layer of accountability. However, you have people that are appointed to federal courts that are appointed essentially for life. So
even though the Constitution says for good behavior, the reality of what they've become is for life. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So of course the question is, so under whose definition?
Exactly.
So when you have an age of this concept of the living Constitution or judicial activism that's going on, so how does one restrain the court systems? And you've got judges now that don't understand the concept of the separation of power. They are attempting to make decisions as the courts that are actually, according to the Constitution, left up to the legislative branch. So how do we straighten this out, especially when you got judges for life? I know term limits for judges sounds like a wonderful idea, but is that realistic?
In fact, Alexander Hamilton warned of this in Federalist 78. He said, hey, you don't ever have to worry about the courts taking away your liberty unless the courts get over into the legislative and the executive branch.